Hey guys, so I just wanted to finish off this week of gratitude and talking about a gratitude ritual. First, by thanking Blake, Nazita, and Sarah. You guys did an incredible job of sharing how this practice has been a part of your spiritual formation, and really some cool stories of just testimonies of fruit that you've seen in your life by making a ritual of gratitude a practice in your life. So thank you so much. If you haven't got a chance to see those, I would highly encourage going back, watching any of those. Really, it's going to be helpful for you to see, okay, what could this practically look like in my life? So today, what I want to share with you to close out the week is really just going back to the why this is so valuable as a spiritual discipline. One of the things that I keep thinking about is gratitude as a counter-formational spiritual discipline. The idea of a counter-formational discipline being a concept that I think I first heard in a Bridgetown podcast. Could have been in the book Ruthless Elimination of Hurry by John Mark Comer, but it's this idea that, first of all, we're as human beings, we are constantly being formed into the image of something. So spiritual formation is happening, whether it's intentional or unintentional. Intentional spiritual formation would just be participating through the classical spiritual disciplines, through the practices that we're discussing in these videos, participating with the Spirit, and really just creating space for God to work in us, to form us into the image of Christ. It's doing that intentionally, and unintentional spiritual formation would be really just the concept that if we're not doing those things, something is shaping the people that we're becoming. And whether it's the relationships we have, the music we listen to, the TV we watch, just the choices we make, the events that transpire, things that occur in our lives, the things that happen to us, they're all contributing to forming us into something. And if we're not careful, and if we're not intentionally participating in the Spirit, the most likely scenario is that we will be formed into the image of the world and after the pattern of the world. And just to make this kind of a little bit spiritual slash theological, and then and hope to give you a little bit of practical insight from this. Really, I've been thinking about the big three that the Bible talks about in conspiring against our spiritual formation into the image of Christ. Those would be the systems of the world, our flesh, which is our sinful passions and desire, and then of course the devil or Satan, this personified evil that the Bible speaks of. And these three, as you think about, especially as it comes to gratitude or forming in us what I discussed on Monday, this feeling of insufficiency, this feeling of this constant feeling of lack. Maybe it's showing up in covetousness towards others, wishing that we had what they had, or being angry that they're getting something that we consider good that we wish we had but don't. Really, all these ways that ingratitude shows up in our life. We think about since the beginning, the devil had been getting humanity through Adam and Eve and all the way to us to believe that God is not out for our good, that we can't trust him, we can't trust his intentions or his ability to provide, that we need to take matters into our own hands, to not believe what God said is good and evil, but to redefine that for our own advantage at the expense of others. This is from the very beginning. We see the fallout of that today, and we continue to participate in that today through our sinful flesh, which is glad to latch on to that kind of thinking. This is the part of us that just desires that instant gratification, the self-preservation, self-serving, again, putting ourselves at an advantage, even if it costs other people's, not loving our neighbors and laying down our life for our neighbors, but using our neighbors for our advantage. That's our sinful flesh. And really, in a lot of ways, the world system is just a lot of people who are often operating according to their sinful flesh, contracting together in various ways to form cultures and laws and societies, of course, of which we live in one of them. And oftentimes it can be difficult to see how our culture is forming us. So I would encourage you to take some time to consider that and to begin to be more aware of those kind of things. Not to be a conspiracy nut, I hope I don't sound like one here, but as I was thinking about just our culture and the idea of gratitude, really one of the pitfalls of capitalism and kind of its cousin materialism that is so rampant in our culture is that a lot of people and the businesses, the kind of the economic system of our nation and our culture, they stand to profit on our feelings of insufficiency and lack. And whatever it is, whether it's I feel powerless or not beautiful enough, not fit enough, I'm looking for something to help me with comfort or security or whatever it is I feel like I lack, there is someone in our culture that has a product they would be happy to sell you to fill that void and to make you whole again. And so there's ample motivation and profit to be made on us remaining in this place, and there are all sorts of advertising and in our culture that aims to keep us in a place where we feel insufficient, where we feel like we lack, and if we only had that one thing or experience, then we would be made whole. And so as a counterformational practice, gratitude is helping us to just to enjoy with grateful hearts the things that we do have. Again, not focusing on our insufficiencies, not focusing on our lack, but focusing on the sufficiency that we've been given in Christ to reform us, to remind us that it's not some material thing or experience or whatever out there that is going to make us whole again, but only Jesus can do that. That God does have our good intentions in mind, that He is able to provide for all of our needs, and just to focus our minds on thinking about those things deeply and thanking Him for those things. That will begin to form in us against the current of our culture, our flesh, and the devil, who are trying to keep us in a place where we distrust God and just feel like we'll never be good enough and never have enough. So hopefully that will be helpful for you. For me, it's been really eye-opening as I consider the importance of this practice in the life of a Christian, certainly in the life of a Western Christian or an American Christian in this day and age. And so I just hope that you'll find life in this practice. You'll find joy in it, and it will just contribute to forming you into the image of Christ. Thank you so much for watching these videos. I love you all. I miss you very much, and I hope to see you again very soon.